Happy new moon from me, Claudette. I am a enthusiastic observer of our universe for over 30 years, and I have written a book that gives the astronomical positions of our sun and our moon from the year of the 2017 in February, starting with the Chinese New Moon until February, ending with the Chinese New Moon 2018. I wanted to share with you because I didn't find anyone sharing it with you besides one amazing other broadcaster who I will mention later. What the meaning is of our new moon in Virgo according to the sidereal astrology, according to the 13th sign astrology, according to my what I call Sky Astrology, because it is what is written with the stars in our sky. And thanks to Mr. Kanates, the author of the website astrology13.com, and also the author of this program that allows anyone to put in the time and the place and to see an astrological platform where the planets were at any time. So I want to share with you what is happening in our sky today that needs a way to be communicated, because it is information that your self-conscious actually has. Remember, this is more of a non-materialistic focus on the energies that are in our universe. Just because you cannot see them or use the five senses that you are familiar with to know them does not mean that they are not there. And because, as I always say, and as I said on the back page cover of my book, if NASA can discover new Earth-like planets, can we not discover a new connection to our universe? And that new connection, my dear friends, is to take into account the real astronomical positions of all our heavenly bodies. And therefore, that is why I and a few others are saying happy new moon in Virgo. And because Virgo is the largest space that covers our path in our universe, therefore, we had two of them. We had one in September. It was also in Virgo. And we have one now. And it is at 32 degrees Virgo. And Virgo has 44 degrees in our ecliptic path. And therefore, it is the largest of our Zodiac constellations that we recognize on this plane. That is why we don't have 14, because on our plane, on this planet, we see the sun on our plane in these 13 signs. So without further ado, I just wanted to share with you here how this chart is set up. You have the Earth in the middle, and then you have the lines going through, the red being challenging aspects and the blue meaning favorable or opportunistic aspects. What makes it the real astronomical, scientific, mathematical new moon is that the moon and the sun are at the same degree and minute, and that is 32 degrees Virgo and 29 minutes. What is good to note is that we have a very busy constellation space here. And what you don't see is our lucky star is a fixed star. It's Spitka. It is located about 30 degrees of Virgo. And we have now our pair, the Venus and the Mars, also in Virgo. And we have the Mercury conjuncting, was yesterday more, but is still very close to our largest planet, Jupiter. So what does this all mean? What clues can I give you to tap into your unconscious, self-conscious, higher self to understand what these energy mean? Well, what I believe or what I feel is that we already know. And if you are familiar with astrology, one good thing to note is that all the characteristics, more or less, of these zodiac signs are still true. So the Virgo is still striving for perfection, still ruled by Mercury, still trying to be pure in a way, and I believe that purity is in a way to look for perfection, to be without flaws, and also to look at the details, because once you address and look at the details of anything, then you can be sure that everything is clear. And that's why I found, and you can look at my Instagram, also known as AKA Cloudette or Shift to Shine, I've been looking at public personalities, and a lot of them do look at the details. Astrophysicists, writers, T.S. Eliot, all these people are not Libras. We are in the energy, and we have been in the energy of Virgo astronomically for quite a while. And the people born under the energy of today, from before that September 15th until this October 31st, because it does change a little bit, but just by minutes or hours. This October 31st, that is when the sun will go into Libra, and the Libra will go into Libra at 7:30 a.m. GMT time. So until then, all the babies born now are born under our shining sun, Virgo. And Virgo is, of course, one of the Earth planets. And when we say Earth, it means that ancient studies, ancient rhythms, because this is also about rhythm. You want to research biodynamic farming, the rhythm of the earth. This is when farmers who only had the stars to guide them and the moon noticed that the earth was more affected by the sun and the moon during this time. That's why we talk about seasons when we talk astrologically, but it is a scientific dance that the heavens have with our earth. And when we plant vegetables that grow in the earth, these are called root vegetables. These are called earth vegetables. And we find, surprisingly, but it is not surprisingly because we are all connected and everything is connected, is that the energies are earth-based, and therefore Virgo, as in the wheat in the hand of the Virgin, is connected with the earth, with what grows there, what flourishes in the earth, which needs a healthy earth to grow, a pure earth to take on and interact positively with the sun energies and the gravity of our moon. And that is how, with the pull of the moon, the pull from the soil to pull the moisture to feed those root vegetables so that they can grow and feed us. And this is a beautiful circle of life. And once you are aware of how beautiful and connected we are to this planet, to this plane, to this story that we have, that we see every night, to maybe one that we take for granted because the sun and the moon never lets us down. It is always a day comes, it always will come. Even if the clouds are there, we know that the sun has shown up because it is a new day. And that is really the first main point I would like to share with you. I do share more on my daily podcast on iTunes. I will share that link also in the description. And what a lot of astronomers and astrologers are looking at today, and I would like to share with you as well, is the connection that is being made between the new moon and the planet Uranus. Now, I've been watching, and I call myself an observer, connections to Uranus very, very often. I have noticed things happening during that time. So I won't need to share them with you now because I am still in the observation phase, because I like to dot my T's and dot my I's and cross my T's. So what we're looking at is an opposition of the planet Uranus at 34 degrees Pisces, and of course our sun and moon at 32 degrees Virgo. And like I said before, we are still acknowledging the energies and the characteristics of the Western or typical zodiac signs. And therefore, when you think about and planets, when you think about Uranus, we know we're talking innovative, we know we're talking sudden, we know we're talking unusual. And therefore, when you look at the fact that the sun and the moon, and let's take in the biggest planet, Jupiter, Mercury, that all these heavenly bodies, let's call 6 of them at one time, are in Virgo, are looking for perfection, are materializing their energies, but are opposing that unusual Uranus in Pisces, which is a water sign and which is spiritual, and which is what we call the sign that is connected most to evolution, represented by the fish, and also representing the fish that swims up and swims down. It's more like the yin and the yang, and it's also the last sign in the Western zodiac in the astrology, that it has to do a lot of times with evolution, that it has the answers. And when you say something has the answer, it means that you don't have to learn them. And so if you have an unusual idea or unusual thought, it's something that is given to you. It's like a gift. It's something that you know already. It's also not just for yourself, but it is also for the collective unconscious, because Uranus moves very, very slow. And so loads of generations are born in the same zodiac sign. And so this does not personally just mean yourself. It means that we know what kind of unusual spiritual energies. I think what I translate for me is the shift that is going on. So many people are waking up. There is a shift, and it's so special. It's so unusual. And sometimes it is quite sudden, because boom, there's an asteroid coming our way, or boom, there's TRAPPIST, a whole new solar system there. That's like a little bit random, isn't it? That's a little bit sudden. That's so unusual. But what does that mean? How does that affect your perfect idea of this world? let it bring a balance in your life. Let it give you the opportunity to know that we are more than what we have here on this earth, what we have on this planet, what we do in the day to day. We are connected to this vast universe, and there is more to what you can see with your five senses. There's more energy, there are more possibilities out there, and I believe that astrology astrology is a way to bring a balance in our lives. It's a way to meet between the heavens and earth, because we live on this earth and we must take it into account, but we also live under our heavenly sky. Like they say, as above, so below. And if you can get your higher self, your mind, your heart into acknowledging the everyday secrets or signs, or just to be gracious and grateful for the energy and the showing up of the sun and the moon, and the fact that this dance gives us the very food that we eat. It gives us the healthy food, because I have to iterate the reason that we have these GMOs or a lot of these unhealthy foods is because they have neglected the natural energies of growing our food. And therefore, this is for food that is living, what they call live foods that are healthy and good for us, that are not going to harm us in the long run. So you will notice, if you do listen to my broadcast, that I do like to go off on a tangent. So without further ado, I just thought I'd show you a little bit of this chart from Mr. Kanatas here. This is Greenwich Mean Time. At 12 minutes after 8 p.m., we will have the exact time of the new moon. And there is the sign for Uranus. And it is trying Saturn, which is a very positive thing. And as you see, this is the sign for a Fucus. And Saturn is actually in a Fucus. And what is even more important to note is that a Fucus is only 18.5 degrees of the ecliptic, but 1 or 2 degrees next to it at 2 degrees Sagittarius is the galactic center. And this is a very, very strong sense of the point I've been observing for quite some time. And Saturn is moving towards that. And Saturn is not such a big cycle. Therefore, it goes through the whole Zodiac in 28 to 30 years, whereas Uranus takes 84. So you will be able to, in a way, closer or hone your Saturn more than, say, your Uranus. Sometimes Uranus and these things are something that you can't control. It's something that you have to take into account, but you can't control. But here you have the opportunity with Saturn to have some input. But it's so important to be conscious of that 13th sign, and not to say, oh, Saturn is in, I think they say it's in Sagittarius or it's in Scorpio. It's not. It's in a Fucus. And of course you want to know what a Fucus is, because there isn't a lot of information for it. But what we do know, it is represented as the serpent bearer, and it is the serpent that is wrapped around the stalk of the medical symbols, and it is a healer. It is connected with Chiron. So all you have to think about is healing. And wouldn't we like Saturn to be healed? Didn't they feel they were some way healed by what Saturn really looked like when the Cassini's probe showed us what it looked like? What can we learn from the rings, the borders, the lessons, as you can say, of Saturn about healing? And these are questions that you can ask yourself. And I truly believe that once you ask yourself, that your higher self is there to answer those questions for you. The first step is to be conscious and to take in the true astronomical signs of our heavenly bodies. So there, I'll just show you briefly, is Saturn. The true astronomical position of Saturn is Pluto at 20 degrees Sagittarius. We have Neptune at 14 degrees Aquarius. That is the symbol for Chiron, which is the key. It's like, oh, I've got the key to that. I'm healed. I know what to do. And that is at 3 degrees Pisces. And here we have the North Node at 3 degrees Leo. And like I said before, here a very, very full Virgo constellation space, as I like to call it. And this is the energy. These are the personal planets. These are the planets that are closer to you. And they are showing you and giving you a clue that we are based here on Earth. We are looking to harvest what we can, and we need to be exact about it. We need to try to perfect. We need to try to make this pure. We need to go with what we can change, with, of course, the knowledge of what is unusual, that we are connected to our heavenly bodies, that we are aware that we are entering the shift, that we acknowledge that there is a movement, a shift that includes a 13th sign. And what does that mean? Just to be open and not to be closed to the fact that new energies are coming into us. And I do have to say that I do truly feel that astrology is a form of brainwashing, not in a negative sense, but say conditioning. So if you were brought up as one sign, you could have developed into that sign if you were watching astrology. A lot of people, though, who are sensitive and conscious of the shift happening, they don't feel so comfortable anymore. And this is an opportunity to kind of explore where your sign has shifted. It took me 2.5 years to get my head around it. It is not an easy task. And if you want any more information, please feel free to contact me on my website, which I will have below. Or even just go and get your what your sky looks like done, to know about these energies that are available to you. It's not an overnight thing, but with some patience and open-mindedness, you can start to discover how rewarding and fulfilling it is to live in the true scientific energies of our planets. And more importantly, my biggest wish, and I like to leave you with that, is the children who are born now, because the collective consciousness and the consciousness of anyone on our planet who has acknowledged and heard, or say aware of, the 13th sign, we must also be aware that children born now are born in the shift, so they are of the shift. And if you want to condition them, please find out where their astronomical placements are, so that they can grow with the energies and not against the energies or in the previous energies of a collective that was not aware of the 13th sign. Just like you don't want them to grow up not knowing that when they were born, we knew there were other Earth-like planets. We didn't know that 10 years ago. So we are changing. Everything is changing. And I hope this hasn't gone on too long. I hope I have provided some information. Please feel free to comment or like or subscribe and all those nice things. But that will be all for today. Lots of love from me, aka Cloudette. It's my nickname because I love clouds.